We'll call the Durant Regional Planning Commission meeting to order at 6:05. Clint, would you provide our invocation, please?
Yes, please pray with me. Lord, I would come to you thanking you for the blessings you give us and continue to give us. Please guide us to improve our community to your will. In Jesus' name, amen.
Just double check the door's not accidentally locked or anything.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Odin Gruby, Kevin Keener,
Here?
Drew Jackson, Shane Knight,
Here.
Clint Horner,
Here.
Whitney Kerr, Brandon Wall, Jay Perry.
Our first order of business is consideration of approval of the minutes from our regular meeting on November 17th, 2020.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Call for a vote, please.
Kevin Keener,
Aye.
Shane Knight,
Aye.
Clint Horner.
Item number 2, discussion and possible action of the Regional Planning Committee's ordinances draft. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I realize.
Discussion and possible action of Regional Planning Committees.
It should be
ordinance
Regional
draft.
Planning Commission, not committee.
Oh.
Sorry
It just
about
wasn't
that.
rolling through me, my mind or my mouth very good.
Right, no, you're
Ms.
good.
Parker?
You're good. Yes, as the last meeting we had some discussion about an ordinance draft. We was also gonna sit there and get comments from y'all. I haven't received any comments from any of the groups, so, but we did go ahead and email out, the comments the staff had amongst the ordinance itself, so that we could see those and any other comments that you have. We'd be happy to hear them. We can either discuss them, or if you want to email them, whatever works for you all is fine with me.
Did we get that email?
With the,
Did y'all get that email?
I don't
it
know
should
that
have
I
came
got
in the
one.
agenda packet, the ordinance itself. With the comments, it should have came with the agenda packet.
About the, now, are we talking about the planning, are we talking about this, the Regional Planning Committee ordinances draft?
Yeah, should have came in an email with the agenda.
Okay,
It's the last 2 pages.
I did see,
Oh, I'm
There we
sorry.
go.
It's
There we
in
go.
here. Oh, I'm sorry.
You're
I
fine, you're
thought I
fine.
saw it,
I was
yes,
thinking
that's it.
that maybe there's a page out of order. Sorry.
You're fine.
The only, I'll just, while we're getting there, and I noticed that some language is still in there about the county not doing something until we look at or make a recommendation.
Right, right.
Or like the county clerk not filing something until
Right.
we, I'm sure there's some more things here, but that's the one thing that keeps coming to mind is, I guess my question is, are they willing to make that commitment? If we're gonna set it up that way, how are we going to keep the integrity of this process? 'Cause I mean, we're basically asking, or they're at, county's kinda asking us and we're asking, and
Right.
so I just wonder how well that's gonna go.
It's always gonna be voluntary for the county.
Yep, it's gonna be ultimately up to the county, cause alls this group is a recommending body to the county. Without having anybody from the county here to be a representative, we don't know. And then, of course, it depends on how an election goes too, who else may step in or not. So, I mean, it's kind of one of those things where it's ultimately up to the county to decide yes or no, they're in that 3 mile buffer. If I remember right, I believe Ron Boyer saying that they also, kind of, the county itself, the commissioners approved a resolution of some type that they can do, saying that for the Regional Planning Commission, if I remember correctly. Because I believe they did it about the same time as the city did.
You know,
So,
when you hand them this ordinance saying, here's what we recommend, this is your first test.
yeah,
And the 3 of them have to sit down in an open meeting and recommend, and decide to follow it.
yep.
What was it, what's their document, their guiding document rules, whatever what's that called?
They follow a different role of state statutes that we do. They've obviously followed the county versus versus the municipality. But I don't know what else.
Can they determine and vote? I don't know what it's called, but like we have an ordinance, can the county say we have what their guideline of?
Like, they have like I want to say it's some form of resolution or
Okay,
something like
that's-
that.
Yeah, you said that earlier, and I was.
Right,
couldn't
they don't
remember.
have ordinances as we do, because in order to have ordinances, you have to have a comp plan and
Sure.
so on and so forth.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just was thinking about if there could be a resolution,
Right.
if we're going to get that far.
Right,
that-
yes.
That they commit to,
And this would be that first test, as Marty pointed out, where if we sit there and we drafted this and we were like, okay, this is what we're recommending, this is what we're thinking, and hand that over to them, it's up to them to, at that point, and that'll be kind of our test of how they're gonna handle everything.
They do it differently, but they have the same ability we do as a government to make rules
Yeah.
and enforce them.
okay,
Right.
They could have an entire building department. They won't, they can't afford it. But
Right.
that's beside the point. This is, you're gonna get this ordinance, you're gonna go, here's my first, we approve this, we recommend this, and then you're gonna see if the county's gonna acknowledge it and accept it.
Right.
yeah.
And that's how you hold their feet to the fire. Now, legally, can you do anything if they ought not to one time? I don't know that either. But at least you have some kind of a founding document.
So it talks about the county not approving something and then the county clerk not filing it. Does the clerk answer to the commissioners? And so that resolution can,
Yeah.
They all answer.
okay,
Yes.
And to the DA at the top of the level.
Yeah.
okay. We'll open it up for discussion and
Is this an action item?
It can be. It's the discussion and possible action, so you can take action if
Okay.
you choose to.
I'm gonna be frank, this is my first time seeing this.
Okay.
I don't think, I haven't gotten an email on this since 11/13.
And that may have been that
So-
last email, because I know Blake sent it out to everybody.
Yeah.
He is no longer with the city. And I think at the last meeting, we was hoping to get some comments or something from the group back, and there was no comments received. So,
so are you handling this? Did you get promoted or get,
yes, it
Additional
was,
task.
regional was added on, yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
I think.
I
that
don't
you
have
should
it, I haven't
probably-
seen this, so I don't really
Yeah.
have any
I think you
comments
should
on it.
probably spend more time on it right now.
Yeah.
And you
And
probably need more voices in the room too.
Mhm.
Push to get everybody here in January.
Yeah,
Start an email, include all 8 or 10 people or whoever, plus me and you, and let's start some conversations. I think that's how you're gonna get the feedback.
definitely can try.
yeah.
And that gives you,
If you could be sure to send this back out, because I can look at this on my computer and comment just like
Mhm.
what they've done here already, but I don't think I've gotten this,
Okay, I can definitely.
so I
work
haven't
on that.
looked at it at
I know
all.
I haven't seen it at all, but I wouldn't include it in the previous email either. It just doesn't need to be 38 pages. It's very
Right.
basic. This is your bottom level.
Yep.
And you can build off of that. I
Yep,
think that's what
exactly.
you need to realize. Right now, you're just looking for county support. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the very basic part of it.
Yeah.
Did, I don't know if I don't remember seeing it in the minutes, but when it comes to like the street portion, weren't we gonna get some feedback from the street folks to, if we had looking forward, were we gonna get a comment on that of what they would like to see on a
Well,
kind of a basic?
I think I'm here to help you with that.
Okay,
And I think what your basic, if you're gonna say the city wants a 60-foot right of way, then I believe this document has to say 60-foot right of way.
Yeah.
You can't get a 50 and build houses, and then come back later and get a 60,
Yeah.
right? So you wanna line it up as close as you can to ours. I'm not even sure it's time to talk about, I mean, that's one of the very basic ones too, but what you really look for right now is support from the county. And even if you just got, don't file a plat without a signature from that office, dedicate roads that are 60, infrastructure must be designed as per DEQ permits, engineering for drainage of anything over an acre. Those are, just some very basic steps that can't be changed after they're developed.
Yeah.
Because how big is the lot? I don't even care. We don't really care. You know what I mean? You'll want some guidelines, but it's not as important today as some of this other basic stuff. I think if you pick out the topics that you want to address and put that in the chat room with us, we can put the answers in for you
Yeah.
pretty quick.
I like just glancing at this, I like the brevity of essentially what it is that we're doing that is outlined here. And then I think some of those most basic things, or maybe not most basic, but initial things, like your land usage and infrastructure. That to me would be the first couple of things to,
This document's
Kind
gonna
of-
evolve
yeah,
in the next 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
As you discover things that the county's interested in becoming a part of
Right.
again or whatever.
right,
I just think start out basic.
Yeah.
Because you can't enforce anything more than that right now.
no, I just,
Really,
I mean,
what you're enforcing
know,
right now is design.
I do think it's, like you said, I do think it's, maybe imperative is not the right word, but, I do think this somehow, and I know we don't know how legally, other than we're a recommending body, but, I just spent 2 days down in Melissa, Texas, a couple of weeks ago with some folks, and, if I saw 10 acres, I saw 1,000 acres
Mhm.
of development going on and way outside of their city limits. And I just think in another 10 years, that could be Durant.
Legally, if they vote as a congressmen, they're not congressmen, county commissioners,
Yeah,
to accept this and adopt it and be a part of it, maybe we've got a court case if they don't do it and something bad happens, right? Because
Yeah.
they said they're gonna do it.
yeah,
Now, if they get 3 new electors in there and they decide not to do this next week or next year, we're done. It's really up to them to continue.
yeah,
You can change those rules anytime you want.
yeah. So maybe what you're saying is establishing kind of the means and methods of this group,
Yes, yes.
and then the
That's-
county has to officially vote and
Yes.
say,
Yep.
yes, we'll accept these recommendations.
Exactly.
Bingo. It's kind of, these are gonna be kind of your guiding principles moving
And if
forward.
they say no, if they vote no, then this group burns in the ashes, so to speak. Okay,
But if they vote yes and then don't make that developer engineer stormwater drainage
mm-hmm,
and somebody floods, I believe they have some liability there,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Okay. Well, I don't, if y'all have anything else to say, but,
Do we need, do we have to have
You
just say,
don't,
let's move on?
you don't have to have a motion on this because it's discussion or possible action, so you
Okay.
can just if there's no further discussion, we can just move on to the next item.
And she can put the same item on the agenda next month without
Exactly.
tabling it or something.
Okay.
Right, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I would just like to say, be sure this gets sent out,
I will do so.
yeah.
It might be part of your Christmas present.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm teasing.
We want to move on to next item?
Sure.
Item number 3, discussion and possible action regarding the 3-mile buffer zone map.
So we went back to the drawing board, so to speak, and created another 3-mile buffer map. One of the ones which the committee or the commission asked to have just the the contiguous part of Durant, and then see what that 3 mile buffer is. That is in your packet, but it's the bubble, one. The other one that was also sent with the KMZ file is more off of section lines versus the, anything else. So, has kind of more squared off and things like that. So, that was one that we created, and that's with the entire city, not just a contiguous piece.
Did the law specifically mention 3 miles or some kind of limitation?
I think state statute has it as 3 miles.
Did we get any, feedback on what the 3 mile, like what we were talking about? I think we were gonna ask, I think it's in our notes here that we were gonna ask, maybe, Markham about if it had to be like to a section line or stop, or if it was just kind of jagged out there, or if it, let me see if I can find it.
I visited with the city manager about that, and he said, essentially, it's 3 miles, that's it, right at the 3 mile mark, that's it. It can't be 3.1, can't be 3.2, it's just at 3 miles. So, that's kind of where we're at. If that's the one where, is it the bubble one?
It's the bubble, yeah.
Okay, the bubble one does not include, anything, that's just the, kind of that original city, not the appendages. So, the other one that's more squared off is the entire limit lines. Yes, Lake Durant is in city limits, but I believe it's just the lake.
It could go out 3 miles from the shores of the
Yes,
lakes as
yes,
well.
exactly, from that
They
city limit
opted
line.
not to,
On that one.
Silverado and Cardinal Glass, they kind of came back to the base of the city and went out 3 miles.
Right. And then we created another one that was just the section lines off the entire city limits. So that included Cardinal Glass and all that.
You know, I tend to wonder, and this is just me spitballing, but, I mean, we're gonna approve this map and go, here, again, county, here's our recommendation.
Mhm.
And if they go, yep, we like it, could it be 5 miles?
No, state statute says 3 miles, that's it, yep,
So that's a hard line.
Yeah, it
Even if
is.
they vote to go farther than that.
right, they cannot, yep.
Yeah, the county, if they
I
had,
guess they can, but you
Okay.
can't preside over those cases.
Right,
Correct.
right, yep.
You
Yeah,
gotta make sure that the ones that come to see you are only in that 3 mile period,
right, right,
or less, we can
Right.
make it less. I mean.
I personally like the one that is based on section lines,
Yep.
because I think it gives us some definitive boundaries
Right.
versus the arbitrary bubble.
right,
Because I think we're gonna end up with the bubble scenario. We're
Right.
gonna cut through parcels of land that,
Mhm.
you know, you're gonna end up, we have jurisdiction on part of a development, but not another kind of thing.
right.
But-
And that's.
And it could happen with the section line thing
Okay,
as
yeah.
well, but it's not
You know what's
as
interesting about that?
likely.
A lot of people are gonna look at that and say, that's too much land, that's a lot of land.
Yeah,
Most of it's not gonna come to you, most of
Right.
it's not
Oh,
gonna
right.
develop, it's
Yeah.
always gonna be farmland.
Right,
It's only the stuff that develops that you actually hear from.
right,
the language I was looking at from our last meeting is that, the commission suggested, after looking at the maps, that the maps or map needs to be exact, precise, defined, and named. So that's, I agree with you on the section line. You have an actual, this is it.
and
I
there
think
still
you
may
could- I think
be,
you could
there
write
still
it.
may possibly be a couple areas that's technically outside that 3 mile buffer.
right.
Just because you can't, it's gonna be really hard to get it exact.
So jagged.
I think
Right.
I think you could pretty easily write a legal description based off of
Yeah.
Yeah.
this scenario.
You could,
Versus.
you could.
Versus the other.
Versus a squiggly line, oh yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
yeah. You could, that'd be a whole lot easier.
I couldn't easily write a legal description.
Right, and before you guys see it, if it's brought to staff, staff can make sure it is within that 3 mile buffer. The county ultimately has that say if it's in the 3 mile buffer or not, so, but,
So is staff gonna get the application and look at this map and make a precise measurement? So it might show on the map that it's inside, but it really be out.
it's possible, I would think.
I mean, that verification, if we can't go beyond that.
Right, I feel like it's gotta be verified by
'cause even
staff,
that's not
because,
gonna be perfect.
right,
It's going to the
yeah. I feel like it's gotta
You're gonna
be,
have to pull
yeah.
a Google Earth measurement on every piece
Mhm.
of property
Yeah.
you do and physically find out.
yeah, that's what I
And
feel
the
like it's
map
probably
is
ought to
like
do.
A guidance.
Right, yes. I feel like that's probably gonna have to happen at a staff level, just so that we're not breaking some weird state statute that,
Yeah.
you know, and to get in trouble. We don't need that.
So it's really
So.
implemented. That's not.
Yeah, it's easy.
So if we, I know we have discussion, possible action,
Mhm.
what would the possible action consist of?
Um,
Approving this map or,
Right, you could approve this as, or recommend this for approval of it being the map for the 3-mile buffer zone.
Using the section line,
Yeah,
does that section line include Lake Durant, or is that
It-
just?
It does,
Yeah.
yeah.
it does.
Can I see that?
Yeah.
It goes all the way out
I
to
printed
Nails
mine out
Crossing.
in color, so you can,
This is more what you were expecting to see. See the red line all the way around it?
Yeah.
and I don't know if the right thing to do is to go, I mean, and maybe this is drawn like, I mean, I'm assuming Aaron had probably did this.
yes, yes.
But is the boundary the nearest section line within 3 miles? Or are some of these section lines a little beyond 3 miles?
I'm wanting to say he used it with, as long as within 3 miles, but like I said, there still might be some, just because of the way that jagged
Right.
city limit line is, that may be over that
Yeah.
3 miles. I know he did the best he could at keeping it within that 3 miles.
You might want to have language that involves the phrase, if you're within this map, we will check you, right? If you're within these boundaries,
This is a,
we will make a precise measurement.
this
Yeah.
is a guiding,
It's not setting a precise measurement.
right,
Yeah,
this is a guidance
It's another
as far
guidance
as,
tool.
right, this is a guidance as far as what,
So if it's outside
what is
the
within
city,
that 3-mile
we're not
buffer.
gonna look
yeah.
Yep,
Yeah, it would be interesting to have some kind of language that, because there may be someone that is actually within 3 miles, but they're just outside of this boundary line.
of that section.
yes,
And we
yeah.
don't want to exclude them.
Right, right.
So I don't know, that's,
But it's really easy, and you've seen them, I mean, you can drop a pin at their
Oh.
property and pull a circle,
yeah,
3 miles,
yeah,
it's not gonna be hard to figure out.
right.
But you don't wanna have to say, somebody at home studying that map, going, oh no, I think I'm in, I think I'm in,
Right.
right?
Right.
So,
You
like,
almost gotta look at it from the property back to the city, not from the city to the property.
Mhm.
so you could do language like, something to the effect of, that the document would be considered a guiding document for the 3-mile buffer zone. If that makes sense.
What if it's
Yeah,
half in, half
that
out?
boundary could be used as a guide.
Yes,
It's not
Yeah.
necessarily,
right. It's used as a guide to set where that 3-mile
it's
zone
used as a
would be.
guide, not the,
Right, because we can't do
definition
anything,
or-
we can't do anything in Mead or Calera or anything
Right.
like that.
right.
So, and that map does include
Yeah.
Calera and all that, so,
Yeah, true.
you know,
Now, he could easily remove those from that red portion.
he could, yeah.
He's
I mean,
got
if
the
we-
boundary rules.
Yeah.
Maybe, some of them,
Rules for that
I
map.
kind of
Yeah,
like the
some of them
direction
have.
that's going, and using that as a guide. You know, this
Yeah.
boundary is a guide,
yes,
and then kind of what Marty was saying,
We'll come into the
You-
office and pull up a precise.
actual
measurement.
measurements would be done.
or we
if
could
that
even make
measurement-
county do the precise
Maybe that
measurements.
measurement has to be done by a surveyor to be proper. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just rely on Google Earth a lot.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And we could even put it on the county that they have to be sure that it is within that 3 miles.
Mhm.
So, and maybe this has been answered, so if you do have a development or have something that would be heard or come before this committee, the applicant takes it to the county and then the county brings it to us, or is the applicant gonna bring it to us?
Probably yet to be determined.
Yeah,
They'll get
that's,
some applications and you will too, and then we'll have to figure out which way that goes.
because I think the way it's
Some
set
are
up,
gonna not be used to coming to you, but others are gonna hear about this and know to come to you and bring it to Dan Hill. So
right, and I think the way it was, if I remember right, they wanted originally to go to the county first, and then let the county determine if it's in that 3-mile buffer, and then it'll come to us.
The county's also determining floodplain and some other things.
Right, exactly.
Before they okay a development anyway.
Right.
Right.
So there's no reason they couldn't also help, and they may call Aaron and say, hey, is this in 3
Mhm.
miles?
Right.
But there's no reason that couldn't be on their shoulders.
And this is
Yeah.
just gonna really come to fruition if it's an actual development.
Yeah,
I
Right.
mean, if Joe Brown wants to go build a new home on his land, nobody will ever know about that.
no, and it's, you know.
But the
what are you
developments
gonna
have to be
do
platted, therefore,
If,
it-
if you set new guidelines, where every building has to come through you for permission, or where mobile homes can only be set to next to garages and not next to houses, and every time you add a rule, that's a new case that you can see, right?
but the
Right
county
now,
would have to
basics-
adopt, that rule.
Yeah.
Correct.
on
'Cause
the
they're
same
gonna have to
recommendation
come-
You're giving them now.
They're gonna
Right.
have to come to the county for a quote-unquote permit
Right.
before anybody would ever know about it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're gonna have guys out there pushing streets, and we still may not know, but when they apply for a 911 address,
Yeah,
trigger.
yeah.
What happens then?
We can stop them.
Stop them from getting out of address.
Make them comply, yeah. They also have to get floodplain permission, which means the county ought to have that ability, if they haven't asked that question, you know, they could get them stopped from the county side anyway. But there's 2 or 3 triggers, we could recognize development.
Mhm.
And, you know, somebody comes and gets an address for one house, because they're gonna build one next to their grandma's and live there forever, we don't even care.
Yeah.
But if they're building a development, and they're gonna need 10 addresses or 40 addresses or whatever, that's a real easy trigger.
So like when you see Aaron kind of turn like red, kind of pinkish red in the forehead, you know that's too many addresses to, is that the trigger? Is that one of the triggers?
He does this all the time, it's part of his job, people
Yeah.
come in for addresses all the time.
Yeah,
But now he's gonna have somebody go, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense.
yeah. Well, someone's gonna have to have a plat or a deed if they're gonna borrow money on a house, so to, you know.
Mhm.
So I mean, that should trigger in the county
Right.
for them to say, oh, we've gotta check and make sure this is
Mm-hmm.
within or outside of our 3-mile buffer.
Yep, exactly,
So it really all hinges on
on the county.
if the county brings it.
Yep.
And if they don't bring it, then I
And
guess
the-
you could have them on the hook in the future for not complying with
Yeah.
the ordinance they agreed to.
The depth of what you're gonna see is really gonna grow based on how far the county wants to go.
Yeah.
Because if you start out with plats and, you know, stormwater and roads, but if they decide to make a crazy law that you can't paint your house pink, that could be a decision you have to make later, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, it's gotta be recommended by you and adopted by them, whatever that rule is.
I lived in a city like that. Let's don't do that. Where you
They
had
always
that,
told me there's not a code against ugly.
yeah.
Nasty here is not ugly.
Yeah. Does the county have any jurisdiction or say-so over like rural water departments? Do they have anything
No.
I don't think so, no.
with them?
I think they're their own entity, aren't they?
I just didn't know if they could have some oversight for another trigger of, hey, we need 25 water meters and,
We do, where they're building in the city limits
Right.
or on rural water.
Right.
We have that relationship. The county has no reason to. They don't share a water district.
I just didn't know if they could,
When you go apply for your water meter, I don't think the county commission has any knowledge of that.
okay. Now, I do think that maybe they could coordinate with DEQ, because I think if you do apply for a water meter for a house, don't you have to have a DEQ permit
for Lagoon or septic or
before you
whatever
can
it
get
is.
your
You
meter?
do, yeah. Technically, they won't give you a meter until you have your DEQ permit.
The problem is
Yeah.
DEQ doesn't like to have to give you all that information and be cooperative, because they don't have to.
Like to be cooperative with, like with
They
commissioners?
called me every time somebody was setting a septic tank, that'd be a lot of phone calls. And so why would they make those phone calls? You know what I mean? They're not calling commissioners to approve that. They're doing a perk test.
Is there permitting, is it public? Like, can you get on and is it public? Do they have a public
I
access?
know it's public information, but I don't think it's online.
DEQ's permit?
Yeah,
I don't know. I've never tried to look that up.
because it could do just like the county assessor does. Yeah, county assessor. He comes over and gets permits from the permit office, or used to find out what's going on so they can
Oh, yeah.
raise taxes. So I'm just thinking that, could commissioners pull on a monthly basis what permits for septic system
I mean, I
to
bet
give just some,
Yeah,
maybe able to,
that is
help.
public information, but I don't think it's online anywhere,
okay, wonder if they could get a report or something, if that would help
maybe,
track them down.
might be. I don't think you're gonna need it, I think there's other triggers that we'll figure out. And, you know, the last one is people out and about, people recognizing that and calling it in or whatever. And I don't mean cattle trailers, I mean county road workers and county graders and
Mhm.
whatever, you know, county's gonna get permission for culverts and some of that kind of stuff too, so there'll be some more triggers.
yeah.
And you're gonna miss some, but we miss some now. They'll call for 911 address, have a house built, water on, everything ready to go, but are mad because they can't get mail. And we're like, you should have told us a long time ago, you can't just get one that quick, you know? But they do it all the time. We live in the country.
Do we have a list, like the protocol, if you're, kinda how this thing works, if you're living in the city, like from contact this, get a permit, like a checklist for folks that don't know, or the county?
Yeah,
Okay. Just didn't know if we could have something,
the county probably has some kind of protocol now.
be nice if you could have
This is
something
gonna
that
be-
was available to the,
This is gonna be added
Citizen.
to that protocol,
Yeah.
whatever kind of you guys come up with.
right,
Because
I was
right now it says call them so they can check the floodplain, that's like all they worry about.
yeah. That might help some of those phone calls. You can just, I'll email you, go to our website, follow, bring it
Very
up.
true.
We'll answer a question after you filled out the
There
application.
you go.
Yeah. One of those if this, then that
Yeah.
charts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be nice, but that's how my brain works, so that's why I think that, it may not, I'm
But
odd,
again, a lot
so
of
it
that's
may
gonna come
not.
from the county side.
Yeah.
We may give them recommendations, and, you know, here's a great idea, here's how you ought to do it, and a lot of it's gonna be on their shoulders.
Yep.
Right there.
Mhm.
We're helping them
Well,
out.
and
aren't we?
back to this map.
Yes.
I don't know that it needs to be an action item, but I do. My recommendation would be that we use some version of this map that Aaron has created and establish some sort of verbiage to go with it. You know, saying that it's a guide to the area that would be under the jurisdiction or influence or whatever that may be of this board. And
What if you
maybe
recommend-
present that at January's meeting.
Yeah. So say, what if you recommend staff work on that for you?
Yes, that's what I'm recommending.
There you go. We'll try to come up with some of the words,
Yeah, we can do that.
and maybe even have Aaron print off a bigger map so we can show it off or whatever. And then you got, again, I think you guys know what you're talking about, but I think you need all 8 or 10 voices. for some
Yeah,
of these-
I
for
mean,
some
there's
of
a lot of
these
people
items.
on this, there's a lot of people on this committee. I don't think,
And if they don't have buy-in, it's not gonna matter,
right.
so.
So do we need a motion, or is that recommendation part of our discussion?
It can be just a part of the discussion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any new business, announcements, information?
Yep.
We have a motion to adjourn?
Second?
Let's try it this way. Can I do it this way? We have a motion and a second. Any opposition to that motion? Hearing none, the motion carries. Can we do that? Save a little time?
I like that better than roll call.
Good.